to Menopause Morph, your time to change. We're here to help you thrive through your menopause, bringing you experts in many fields to help you from perimenopause to menopause and beyond to become the strong, vibrant woman nature intended you to be. Hosted by Pauline McCarthy of the Pearls of Pauline, pearls of wisdom, compassion, and joy.
Hello, welcome to this week's Menopause Morph. Today we have the lovely Cheryl Chapman, all the way from England. And Cheryl is going to talk about what is midlife. Cheryl is an international speaker, the author of Find Your Why to Become Freaking Awesome, and the creator of the Live, Love, Laugh Lounge, where she is a mentor to women wanting to choose a life of freedom after a change in their lives. Cheryl spent 25 years in the corporate world developing some of the largest retailers across the globe. Her expertise was being able to see where the gaps were and then create innovative solutions to fill these areas in terms of products and service. Back in 2012, at the age of 48, she started to ask herself, why am I here? And is this all there is to life? Knowing what she didn't want, which was to travel to a place of work spending hours doing what she didn't enjoy, drove her to look for alternatives. She found that in the art of public speaking. She wrote, Find Your Why, How to Become Freaking Awesome, because she understood that women go through a change, not just the physical one. This occurs on the back of one of the 3 Ds, a death, a divorce, or a desertion. So, Cheryl, thank you so much for coming on Menopause Morph.
Pauline, you are very, very welcome, and thank you so much for inviting me to be able to connect with yourself and obviously your listeners.
So, you've been going around the world talking about midlife. So can you tell us, is there a difference between midlife for men and women?
Yes, I believe there is. I mean, I'm going to put out a little caveat before I talk about this because, of course, there are always exceptions to the rule. But just as a general kind of belief, I suppose, is that between men and women, my belief is that men tend to go through a midlife crisis. And for men, it's usually kind of between the age of 45 to 60. And there's a good little comedy analogy, I suppose, although I have seen this in many men that I've known of that kind of age group, which is that a man going through a midlife crisis will go out and buy a fast car or a sports car, will find themselves a younger woman and go to the gym in order to be able to keep up with the younger woman. Whereas for women, and I'm not saying, again, that there are no women that have not gone out and bought a flash car and found themselves a young toy boy, if you like, and gone to the gym. But for women, I believe that it's not a midlife crisis, but I believe it's a midlife opportunity. The midlife for a guy tends to last between 3 and 10 years. Can you believe it? It's a bit like a man who's got man flu. And a midlife opportunity for a woman tends to only be a couple of years on average. That's what I found. So just in terms of the fact that it kind of like triggers different things in men as it does to women, I find that women go one of two ways. And I know we've talked about this, you know, they either go into that extreme of, oh my gosh, my life has ended, or they go, do you know what? Maybe this is my time now. And that for me is the latter part is a kind of community that I really relate to. I mean, if I'm honest with you, my midlife happened when I was 22. Which sounds a little bit crazy, I know. Not physically, but emotionally it did. Yeah. Because, as you said in the introduction there, I find that a midlife crisis or a midlife opportunity for a woman really occurs on the back of 3 things. So it's either a death. I know that normally, if we do average ages, then parents may die, 70s, 80s, 90s these days. So if you're kind of like 45, 55, then you've probably experienced the death of a close relative or maybe even a friend. It also occurs on the back of a desertion. That can be the previous midlife gentleman going off to find the midlife crisis younger woman, potentially. It can also be a desertion of your children. So perhaps you're of an age where your kids have, fled the nest, left that empty nest syndrome. And you're kind of like, oh, well, what on earth do I do now? I mean, who am I? Who am I? Because, I mean, like, I've been a mother, or I've been a wife for all these years. It can be a desertion of work. So there might be a change in work, such as redundancies. I mean, in this day and age, no jobs for life anymore. And I've changed the other one, really, because the other one I used to say, now I think it's a disappointment. It's a disappointment in life in some shape or form. And these can lead to depression, of course. And for me, the reason why I said that mine happened when I was 22 was because I lost a lot of people. A lot of people in my family died when I was 22. And so I adopted the philosophy of my cousin who was 27 when she died. She had this philosophy, which is you can choose 5 minutes of wonderful or a lifetime of regret. And at the time, she was still with us, so I didn't have that philosophy right away, but that's kind of carried me through the last sort of 10, 15 years. And at 22, when we'd lost a lot of people, I kind of did the bit which was like, do you know what? You never know when your time's done. So I'm just going to live my life to the full. Yeah. That was kind of the attitude that I adopted, which I think a lot of women who just go, do you know what? The back bedroom's empty now, so let's get on with it. Let's make it into a sewing room, or let's make it into an office. Let's become an entrepreneur. Or the husband's gone, that's great. Let's have a new one. Or let's just go on holiday more, got more freedom and more time. I don't know. But interestingly enough, I did some research on midlife age. It was really interesting because there's the Americans do what's called a median age, which is the middle age of the people who live in each of the countries across the world. So if we call it a midlife crisis, I don't know about you, Pauline, but I'm planning on living till at least 120. I'm far too nosy to die too early. But on average, if the average age is, 85, something like that, let's say 80 for easy maths. So if midlife is like 40, 45 years old, that's not the truth according to this median age study. Because if you're in Europe, then yes, the average age is around about 78, 80, 85. So mid-age would be 40, 45. Same for places like Australia. But if you go to somewhere like South Africa, then the life expectancy is 45. Wow. So midlife is 22. Yeah. So it really depends where you are in the world. So not necessarily just, whether or not you're male or female. But yes, there's a difference, to answer your question, between men and women, because I just think it's, one, the way that we approach it, and two, the length of time that it takes, a man to get through his midlife crisis. But ultimately, I think that for women, it's a midlife opportunity. That's the big difference for me.
Actually, just yesterday at breakfast, I was talking with my family, and I don't know why this topic came up, and I just said, how do we know when we're midlife? I says, we would need to know when we're going to die, and then half that. I think I must have been watching an episode of Star Trek where they were going back and forward in time.
Yeah, they knew the day they were going to die, so they could go, actually, this is officially midlife now. Yeah, exactly.
Let's have a party. Yeah. And is there anything else that would start a change?
I know that physically there are some things that would kickstart the official change, if you like, and I really leave that to kind of like the experts, of periods finishing. To be honest with you, if I'm going to be open and honest, I think mine started around about 10 years ago, and it still can't make its mind up. Yeah. It's kind of like, I think it's gone, and no, we're back again. So there's the physical changes, but I really think that the change are the changes that happen in the circumstances. I think that's the big driver. 4 years ago, I worked in a corporate environment. I thought it was all right. I just started to think that there were some things missing. I felt like there needed to be more for a reason that I was here. Emotional reasons more than physical reasons. It wasn't like I'd had a near-death experience or anything. I was just kind of a bit bored with what I was doing. I could have continued doing it, but then I went to an event. I heard this guy speak, and I just thought, do you know what? He looked at me and he said, if you were to die tomorrow, who would mourn your loss? And I remember thinking, 4 years ago, I was thinking, well, I've got about 43 friends on Facebook. If it's raining, then, folk probably don't turn up anyway. So there might be a party of about 20 people if I'm lucky. And then he said, and if that number is small, it meant you led a life of insignificance. And I swear, it was as if he'd shot an arrow into my heart, dragged my heart out and ate it in front of me. Because it was in that moment that I just thought, do you know what? I can carry on doing what I'm doing now, which is serving retailers and importing products, from all over the world. But is that really going to make a difference, in the world? And it was then that I realised that I got to do something. I didn't have a clue what that was going to be, of course. But that's when the change, if you like, really started to happen in my life. And I believe that that's what happens for a lot of women. As I said, it could be that the kids have left home. It could be that the husband's gone. It could just be that they were made redundant. Well, not just, but it could be that, they went through the huge change of having to look for a new career. But for me, that triggers the change in the perception of what you're going to do with your life. And for me, that can come before the physical or at the same time of the physical. Does that make sense?
It does. And well, I've been through transitions, I would call them, or I call them like new chapters of my life.
Yes. Yes.
And I've went through quite a few. And for me, I'm a very adaptable person. You know, my Chinese sign is a rat, and they say rats can survive in any situation, you know.
Yes.
But for a lot of women, it's very difficult. They've had this pattern in their life that's been their ecosystem all their life. And then suddenly all this change happens, whether it happens to them, they're not controlling the situation, or whether they decide, I'm fed up, I'm going to do something different. So do you have any advice on how women can adapt to this change, you know, sort of transition into it?
Yeah, I have a community called the Live, Love, Laugh Lounge. And this came on the back of, I wrote a book called Find Your Why to Become Freaking Awesome. Because I do think that when you get to a certain age, there is this expectation. I mean, I'll tell you this story. I do this. I'll flit off. But it just reminds me. My mother-in-law is 84. She lives around the corner from us. And I remember about 3 or 4 years ago walking round the corner with the dog. And as I was walking up to the house, I saw the washing line with the elasticated floral skirts and the very large white pants. And I just started thinking, when does that happen? I mean, when do the elasticated waist and the floral, like, and I don't mean this disingenuously, because she really suits these clothes, but I'm kind of like, I can't ever imagine a time that I'm ever going to be wearing any clothes like that. And okay, you can say, well, that's because it's in fashion. Well, it's not fashion, is it? It's just like the standard old person. You know, like it's kind of just a typical. It reminds me of Les Dawson. You know, when Les Dawson and Roy Barraclough used to do the, hutching up the bust, over the garden fence. It's just that image. And I just thought, I can't ever see a time when I'm going to be wearing those sort of clothes. I mean, maybe the knickers, I don't know, but who knows? So it's kind of like, how do you try? What happens? Do you just wake up at one day and go, today I'm going to have no fashion taste? I mean, I don't know what happens. So it's difficult. I don't know if there is a transition period. I just think it's down to the choice that you make. Yeah, so I think you either go
in your brain.
Absolutely starts right up here, and it's kind of like, okay, I'm getting to a certain age. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to be going out in 5.5-inch heels, and a mini skirt, because that would just be illegal.
Mutton dressed as lamb.
But I don't think that you have to just follow what's gone before you. And I think it comes back to, we're living in an age now where, we can reach people. You're in Iceland, I'm in Yorkshire, we're chatting, it took 2 seconds for us to connect. We're connecting with all of your listeners across the world. It's instantaneous. And I think that now we're not just affected by what's in our local communities. So anyway, getting back to your question, sorry, I digress, because I'm
like that as well.
Give me a flash of that kind of skirt. How to transition? Well, here's the thing. In the Live, Love, Laugh Lounge, what we say is you don't have to figure it out on your own, and you shouldn't do it alone. And that, I believe, is one of the other really great things about being a woman. Because, again, a lot of men, not all men, but a lot of men try to figure it out on their own. They go internal, they don't speak, they go down to the pub with their mate and they sit fire gazing, don't have a conversation with each other, and then come back and feel just as bad as they did when they went. Do you know what I mean? What's that all about? Whereas I think when we get women together, we're more honest, we're more open. We're happy to say, do you know what, I've had a really shit day today, without fear of judgment of that. And I think because of that honesty, we get more support from each other. So if you're kind of feeling that, either physically you're not feeling right, you're feeling tired, you're bored with your life, then talk to people about it, because you don't have to figure it out on your own. I thought I was the only person in the world that had started to have these thoughts about, is this all there is to life? Like, hello. Yeah. It's pretty much every human being. But I genuinely thought that I was on my own, because I didn't have a close network of friends and family, because my friends and family had moved around a lot, and so had I. So yeah, if I got a crisis, I could call my friend up and say, oh my God, I need you, can you come over? And they would have done. But I wasn't meeting them on a social basis, maybe once a week or something like that. So we created the lounge because that's exactly what it's for. It's for conversations like we're having now, for other people to go, oh, do you know what? I just thought that was me. Oh, now I feel a bit better knowing that, other people are going through the same thing. So
how does what's it called?
The Live, Love, Laugh Lounge.
Live, Love, Laugh Lounge. Yes, that's what I do. I live, love, and I laugh.
Yes, because that's just my philosophy. If you're not living, and that includes crying, getting angry. You know, I think all the emotions are really real and you shouldn't try to suppress any of those. Exactly. It's just probably best to get angry without a knife in your hand, and possibly not in front of the person that you're angry with. But these are all emotions. And so the way that the Live, Love, Laugh Lounge works is it's a secret Facebook group. I have an online program and I also have a mentorship program. But if anybody's interested in just finding out a little bit more about the Live, Love, Laugh Lounge, then they can contact me at cheryl-chapman.com. They can find out about the book, How to Become Freaking Awesome, because it did start with, finding your why. What's your purpose? Why are you here? What's going to light you up? You see, I found there were 3 things that you need to know if you want to find your why. And the first one is you've got to have awareness. You've got to have awareness of who you are right here, right now, what serves you, what you're brilliant at, what maybe you're not so good at that you might need to, maybe address. And also just where you want to go. Because, do you want to go into midlife and have a crisis? Do you want to, get old overnight? Or do you want to actually, live, love and laugh every day? So the book really is the starting point. But if anybody wants to join me on Facebook, they can do. Just, send me a friend message. Don't worry if it says I've got 5,000 friends and I'm not accepting anybody, because I do occasionally go through and do a little bit of a sweep, because I do like people who interact. And if you want to be part of the Live, Love, Laugh Lounge, then, you can come and join us for a month just to see what we're about. It works on the basis that I have a lot of women clients all over the world. We've got clients from Canada, South Africa, Australia, across Europe, in the UK. And it really is just a place, a safe place to be able to say, yay, this is great, or whoa, this is a bit shit, or oh, I need some help, or, I just need some support, or can I just scream, or can I just shout or laugh, or, it's just an open forum to be able to share with other like-minded women, really. So I look for action takers. I like people who like to get into action.
That's great. I mean, I think there is such a need for it, especially it's sometimes you're having a hot flush or what they call the night sweats, and it's 3:00 in the morning and you don't want to wake up your partner and you can't sleep and you feel like you're about to explode, and it's really great just to go online. And if it's 3:00 in the morning, say Iceland time, it's going to be 10:00 at night somewhere in America, so there'll always be somebody online that you can talk to.
Yeah.
It's really great.
Exactly. And, someone put up a message just this last weekend, and, she was having a bit of a problem, with a partner, and some stuff was going on there. And she was just like, just feel like I'm losing control and just really could do with some help. And then within literally about 10 or 15 minutes, there was a conversation going, and she was like, oh my gosh, I just didn't expect this on a Friday night. Do you know what I mean? So it's great. Yeah. Marion Bevington, who is my partner in the Live, Love, Laugh Lounge, we are both of that age, so we're both in our 50s. So we'll be having an online tuition, or we're mentoring someone online, and all of a sudden you'll get that, hang on a minute, I just need to, hang on, I'll be with you in a minute, I just need a glass of water, because we know that people in the community are of the same age anyway. They're like, oh, bit of a hot flush there. It's just open, isn't it? Yeah, we don't have to pretend.
One of my goals is to bring menopause out of the closet, because it's been taboo for so many years, and our mothers would never have spoken about menopause, even to their best friends.
No,
and it's like now you can be at the checkout of the supermarket and be all confused or something, and then the cashier will go, oh, I know what you're going through.
Yeah. It's interesting. I have 2 things that I'll say. So I'll say, can I blame this on the change? Or I can say, can I blame this on jet lag? Because I fly all over the world. I'll sometimes go, can I blame that on jet lag? When actually, just thinking about it now, it's just sort of a little bit of a light bulb moment for me there, Pauline, is that actually could be the change, where I get a bit forgetful. But I've just been blaming it over the last few months, because I think I've been on about 14 flights in about 3.5 weeks. And I just kept saying, oh, can I blame the jet lag? But actually, maybe I should turn it around now and say, oh, can I blame the change? I might use that one.
Before we came online, we were talking about finding your why. In many programs that I do, they always say, oh, it's really important to know your reason for existence, or what your why is, or what it is that you're destined to be, or you were born for. Yeah. And can you help women understand how they can find their why? Because I know my why is to blast open the doors for menopause and let that girl out of the closet. Well, a lot of people say to me, I don't know what my why is. Yeah. Can you give them some advice how they can find their why?
Yeah, I can. You know, when I talked about before about that you need to be able to have awareness of who you are, where you are right now. Awareness really for me is the key to why. The next part of that, because I said there was three elements. Awareness is the first one, knowing who you are, where you are, what you stand for, what lights you up, what doesn't serve you, what does serve you. Then it's what your intention is. So what do you want to do in the future? What do you want to do with your life? And then how do you manifest it? Although I changed the word manifest to move your ass. The reason why I mention all three of those to answer your question, Pauline, is because what I've found with the Live, Love, Laugh ladies, and we actually call them wise women, WHYS,
Okay.
wise women. The wise women is that in order to find your why, you need to get into action, which sounds a bit crazy. Mm-hmm. But my ladies, when they come to me, the first thing that we do is we set one intention. That could be, I want to lose a little bit of weight. I want to be able to control my appetite. I want to be able to find a man. You know, I want to be able to do a broadcast. I want to be able to write a book, whatever that is. It does not matter what it is. But once they start to get into action, then, pardon the phrase, the shit shows up. So procrastination, the feeling of I'm not good enough, the fear of failure, the fear of success, the fear of being judged, you know, whatever it is, it starts to show up no matter what one intention it is that they've set, which is interesting because when you know what that is, then you can start to look at why that is. So awareness does go back into family history. I mean, it can go back before you're even born, if you want to get really technical about it. But what we do is we help people to understand why they are like they are. So first of all, the why is, why am I like I am? So we've got to go backwards. Mm-hmm. The why for moving forward is what people talk about in terms of, you've got to know your why, you've got to know your purpose, you've got to know what drives you. Well, 4 years ago, I didn't have a clue. I tell you what I did know. I knew what I didn't want. Yeah. So it's a place to start. But if someone wants to get a little quick way of finding what their why might be, and I'm talking about the why moving forward, is you can ask yourself a few questions. So you can take a time when you were 5 years old, kind of preschool, maybe you've just gone to school, and just write down just pick one moment in time, you know, like your earliest memory around about that age, and just look at what you were doing and who you were hanging around with and what you were like. In fact, we could probably do that with Pauline now if she wants.
Yeah.
So what were you like when you were 5 years old, Pauline?
I wanted to sing.
Okay, you wanted to sing.
I was in front of the mirror, you know, with the hairbrush, doing my singing thing.
yeah, good. And then if we move forward to when you were, say, a teenager, so let's say we move to when you were about 15, who were you hanging around with and what were you doing then?
Oh, 15. I was in a band.
Yeah.
I did a lot of charity work.
Yeah.
And I helped my mum with all the kids. She had 10 kids.
Wow. 10 kids. Help your mum with 2 kids. And she probably never talked about going through the change. Can you believe it?
Yeah.
or being menopausal. Yeah.
No.
And then if we move forward by another 10 years, so say we're about 25, 30, where are you and what are you doing?
25, let me think. 25, I was starting my first business.
Yeah. And what kind of business was it?
Well, my husband, he had started an American delicatessen, and then I was selling health products. I just got fascinated by these Japanese foot. Can't even remember the name of them now. It's like sandals, but they've got little bumps, and when you walk on them, they massage your feet.
Like reflexology or something.
Yeah,
like
yeah. And I found it totally amazing. So I just started a company selling them.
Yeah, brilliant. So you were entrepreneurial even at that age. Yeah. And then if we fast forward to, say, 45?
45. I was here in Iceland then.
Yeah.
I had my kids. They were just going into their teens. And what was I doing? Yeah, I was doing a lot of charity work. What year was that when I was 45? I'm 56 now, so that would have been 2005, something like that, yeah. Yeah, I was president of the International Expatriate Association here in Iceland. You know, and organising festivals and parties and fun things and then concerts, singing a lot and having a laugh. Any excuse to have a laugh.
Yeah, good, brilliant. Now your listeners can do the same. Mm-hmm. So pick out those age groups. I mean, some of the ladies may not quite be 45 yet, and some may be, you know, so they might want to go another 10 years. But I normally stop. I just normally look at those four areas, and straight away, even if you weren't 45 yet. Just me, I could say that your why is definitely around entertaining people, and serving others to help them to enjoy their life. Because even at 5, when you were a singer in the Mirror, you wanted to entertain people. Yeah. There's a little bit of significance in there because, of course, you're there, up stage front and centre. Then you were in a band, so that kind of like there was no surprise there. But not all children who sing in the Mirror, end up being in a band. And your charity work had already come through there, and you were helping your mum. So already at a very young age, you'd already started to feel your why. The problem is once we go to school and we start being taught, this is how you should think and this is how you should act, a lot of us go off a tangent. So we go and get a job and we go do something and then we feel disempowered, not necessarily disempowered, but we feel, feel like we're not living the life that we want to do. And interestingly, even when you kind of like when you're in that sort of age of 35, where I find a lot of women are realising that maybe they're not doing what they really want to do, but you were still helping people. In terms of like, getting the sandals out, the Japanese sandals, you're still helping people on a healthy basis. Yeah. So I would say that, just doing that very short exercise, if what you're doing now is you're helping other people, if you're making sure that their lives are happier in some shape or form, in fact, that they're probably laughing and they feel like they're entertained when they're listening to you, then you are, and you're having fun and they're having fun. In other words, you live, love, laughing every day. Then you're on point.
Well, that's exactly what my signature program is my Pearls of Pauline, Pearls of Wisdom, Compassion and Joy for Menopausal Women. And it's a stage show where I do some cabaret, but also self-help talk, like help women thrive through their menopause and make fun of it, because if we don't laugh about it, we'll cry about it.
And I don't know you that well, just in case the listeners are thinking, oh, well, she knew that. Yeah. Well, I didn't. So that could have gone anyway. But I've done it enough times. I've done it, hundreds of times now with the Wise Women. And it is so interesting, particularly the younger age. The younger age is before you start getting, input from the outside world as to who you should be. So that's a very quick way to find what your why should be. And ultimately, you need to use your emotion. Women's intuition, there is men intuition as well. I don't know if you know about the Heart Math Institute. They did an experiment. And what they did was they put men and women in a room and sat them in front of computer screens. And basically they flashed up images. And some of the images were disturbing. I mean, not anything too gross, but, they were disturbing images. And they mixed up the way that they came in and when they came in. They had the men and the women, but attached to heart monitors and to pulse monitors and to the brains as well. And even before the distressful picture was shown, the body knew, both men and women. Wasn't too much of a difference between the two. So we all have this intuition, and I think you should just feel your way. So everybody gets pissed off at work, from time to time. So I'm not saying the first day that you sit there going, oh, I hate this place. Oh, that's it. I don't know my why. I need to go off somewhere. But if you're consistently getting to a place where you're like, I hate doing what I'm doing. I do not want to go to that place. I don't want to be with that person. I don't want to do that thing. Whatever it is, then, if that's happening on a regular basis, then you need to find your why, because your body is telling you, as well as your mind. I mean, I'd got to the stage where when I was driving to work, I had to pull over and I was being sick in the lay-by because I'd got myself so stressed and so anxious about it. And again, it comes back to your listeners. If you're having those moments of like, oh my gosh, what do I do? My body's going crazy. I feel like I'm not myself. I can't remember one thing to the next. I just don't know who I am anymore. Then do something different. Go and find somebody who you can talk to. Go and find another person that's going through the same things, or at least you're not on your own. But do something different, because you've got a choice. That's what life's all about, really. Yeah, so I go a lot with intuition and feeling. But, you can use this little, 5, 15, 25 and 35 or 45 to just see whereabouts you were and what you wanted to be before you started to have the outside world influence you. And if that then lights you up, if that makes you smile, then you're heading in the right direction.
It's great that you've created this community because I think it's really important. A lot, like people like yourself and I, we're very extrovert and do crazy things, but most people are a little bit shy to break out or do something different. But if they're in a community, then they have that life belt around them. Like, oh, maybe if they'll help me if I do something crazy, or, maybe that I can bounce the idea off the wall of their minds. I think it's really great. It's very, very important. I think especially at this, when we're going through the change, it's more important to have a community of loving, helpful people than at any other stage in our life.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about not necessarily my parents, but certainly my grandparents, used to live in the same street. In fact, they used to live in the same house, as each other. So it was kind of already there, even if, it wasn't really asked for. The support system was there, wasn't it? Really? Like when you were saying, you used to help your mum with the 10 kids. It was kind of already set up. But I think since we started to move away and the nuclear family got smaller, we've got out of the habit of looking for support. And for some reason, some bizarre reason, we think that when we ask for help, it's a sign of weakness.
Yeah.
I mean, what is that all about? Do you know what I mean? I mean, what I say is, Marion and I say, look, between the two of us, we're over 100 years old. But I tell you what, we do not know all the answers. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff we don't know about. There's a lot of stuff that we've experienced or we've helped other people with, so we've now got a bit more experience in that area. But in the Live Love Laugh Lounge, we don't have like resident experts, if you like, but we do have people like yourself. If you wanted to be part of our community as well, Pauline, you'd be able to help people with the menopause side of things, because that's what you're doing. That's what lights you up. That's what you want to do and serve other people. So that community is really, it's great, and everybody gets involved. Even quiet people get involved.
Well, I have to apologise. I've been yawning in between when you've been talking. It's not because you're boring. It's just like, how like when you really want a big yawn, and then instead of doing a big, because I'm filming this, I'm just doing lots of little tiny yawns, and my body's not getting the oxygen that it needs.
Yes, breathe it.
So we'll all have a big yawn.
Yeah, we do that. I have another little exercise.
Now I feel better. I've got more oxygen in my body.
Yeah. I have a little exercise for the ladies in that are on my mentorship program, and I say to them, whenever you're feeling a bit shit some days, and go with the flow. Don't try to stifle it, because if you hold on to the pain, of trying to be angry and not let it out, or trying to be sad and not let it out, it's like taking your fist and clenching it so hard, like for if you just do that for like the next sort of like 1 minute, 30 seconds, so your hand starts going blue. When you do that and you hold on to that really, 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 really tightly, like in a fist on your hand, and then you let go, it feels a bit weird, and you want to kind of just go back to that, that kind of fist clench. But actually, if you let it go and you just wiggle your fingers around a little bit, that's better. So it's good to get these things out. I mean, I'm not talking about yawning, although yawning is good as well. Yawn. But it is about, getting anger out there and frustration and whatever it is. But the other thing I do is I say to them, so stand in your power in the morning, in your knickers and your bra. If you've got boobs like mine, you definitely need the bra on, and stand in your Wonder Woman pose, if you like, and just shout in the mirrors as loud as you can. I'm freaking awesome, because that can energize you through the day.
Yeah, I do this. I met Louise Hay. Have you Louise Hay in America? Yes, she does this. You Can Heal Your Life, and she does this mirror work. Every time you see a mirror, or make time in the morning after you brush your teeth, you are so sexy. You are so great. You're incredible. Because we're always giving compliments to friends. Oh, that's a really nice dress. But when people give it to us, we go, oh, that's just an old thing, or we don't accept the compliment. And we would do anything for our best friends, but sometimes we wouldn't do that anything for ourselves. Right. So it's nice to say, oh, look at you, you're looking great today. And, even if we feel fat, but just say, oh my God, look at your eyes. Your eyes are brilliant. They're so blue. And your hair is amazing today. Why not compliment ourselves? And my husband thinks I'm crazy sometimes, so I'm talking to myself in the mirror. But I tell him what I'm doing, anyway. Yeah. Loopy woman.
Yeah, no, it is good, and it's good to be able to do that. Particularly if, like you said, if you're feeling like you're having a bit of a bad day. If you've had a night full of night sweats, and you get up in the morning, you're thinking, God, I feel anything like that. I'm going to do my hair. I'm going to put my makeup on. A lot of people say to me, how come most of the time you seem to be made up at home, in your office, and you don't see anybody? And I'm like, yeah, but I've got to get ready for work. I mean, I use the word work. I don't feel like it's work. It's just like a hobby that I happen to get paid for. Do you know what I mean? It's a brilliant experience. So it's not work. Here's another phrase that I always say. If you've ever said to yourself, thank God it's Friday, it's time to change your job. Because I used to say that all the time. And now I don't even know what bloody day it is, to be honest.
Exactly.
I'm going to blame that on the menopause.
I know. Well, years ago, I decided I want to be, when people describe me, I want them to describe me as compassionate and funny and chic.
Yes.
And normally I'm wearing my pearls because of the pearls of Pauline, but today I don't have them, but I've got my earrings on. And I always like to dress nicely.
Yes.
And one time, ding dong, the door goes and opens the door, and it was and he says, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't want to you're going out. And I went, No. And he went, are you going to a party? I went, yeah, the party of life. And one of my husband's nieces, she said to me, oh, Auntie Pauline, you're always wearing beautiful jewellery. That was before I did the Pearls of Pauline. I wore lots of different kind of jewellery, but since then I'm stuck with my pearls. I still really like to wear jewellery. And she said, are you not scared that you'll lose it? And I went, well, what's the point in having really nice jewellery and putting it in a drawer and saying, I'm going to keep that for a special occasion? And that special occasion might be once in your life or might never happen at all, you know? And I say, okay, if I lose it, I lose it. But at least I've had days and months or years of enjoying wearing it. So I encourage everybody, if you've got really nice jewellery, go and wear it. If you've got a really nice dress, wear it. Don't just keep it for a special occasion, because every single day is a special occasion.
Do you know what, Pauline? I love that. I love that analogy. And do you know, it's a bit like people don't get their best jewellery out, but also people don't live their life to the full. So if you think about it, we're all diamonds. We're all from, you know, when the Big Bang happened, you know, that all came from carbon. That's what we're made up of. So we are actually diamonds ourselves. And so sometimes people don't put the best diamond.
No. Well, see when the mirror work, see when I'm putting my pearls on in the morning, I put the pearl and I go, Pauline, you're a pearl. Pauline, you're a pearl. And I put the necklace on, I said, you're a string of pearls. Your whole life is one string of pearls, one after the other, you know, and that just cheers me up every morning.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I just love the fact that, you know, I mean, the thing is, you know, people say, oh my gosh, you know, are you happy every single day? I'm not happy every day, but the majority of the time, yes, because otherwise, like, I'm not doing something right if I'm not happy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a choice. I have seen people in really, you know, like war situations, really, really desperate situations. And some choose to be despondent and complain and, oh, my life is a mess. And other people who've been through exactly the same situation just are happy. And, you know, of course, you're not denying that the thing happened, but yeah. Are you going to make that horrible thing stick with you the rest of your life and define who you are? Or are you just going to get on with your life and appreciate what you have? That's the best way to live, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. When you carry baggage, it's hard work.
Exactly.
Let's just drop the baggage and move on. You know, move on. Easier said than done. Again, you need help. You know, you need some support and you don't have to figure it out on your own. That's the one thing that I've learned. I was an only child till I was 15 years and 11 months old. And then I say, have you ever had a day when something really great happened, but then at the same time there was like something bad happen? You know, and my audience get a little bit, oh, yes. And I go, well, that's the day my sister was born, because that's the day that the sister I'd been waiting for 15 years and 11 months arrived. And it's the day my inheritance halved. So, yes, there's always a yin and a yang.
It is. So we're nearing the end of our time. Is there any last words you would like to say to our audience?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to you, Pauline, for inviting me. I've really, really enjoyed myself in this last hour. So thank you so much. I just really want to say, look, you know, even if you're going through a change or the change, or it's a bit of a mixture of both, remember that you are in control of your emotions. Nobody else can make you feel any way. So you are the bright shining diamond that we've just spoken about. You don't have to figure it out on your own, you know. So, you know, involve other people, you know, get involved in local communities, local like-minded people. Connect with us at the Live, Love, Laugh Lounge if you want to. And you don't have to, you know, figure it out on your own. You don't have to do it alone. So just ask for help, because I think that's what makes women really endearing. You know, we're here to support, be part of a community. So, you know, just let somebody else help you, because I'm sure, like me, if you help somebody, it makes you feel great anyway. So
it does. Okay, Cheryl, thanks for being here. And I just want to remind people, if you want to get a free copy of Cheryl's book, which is actually a physical book, it's not an ebook, it's a physical book. I think you just have to pay the shipping, but it's a fantastic book. And you go to Cheryl, CHERYL Chapman, CHAPMAN.com. And there you'll find information where you can apply for the free book, which is called Find Your Why to Become Freaking Awesome.
That's right. And it is a woman-only book.
Yeah, and so I'll put in the notes in case sometimes my Scottish accent kind of puts people off, you know. You know, I'm living in Iceland, and when I go overseas and I say, oh, I'm from Iceland, and sometimes people say, oh, I didn't know Icelanders spoke with a Scottish accent. And I went, some of us do.
Pauline, you are the epitome of someone who is living, loving and laughing every day. Thank you so much.
Okay, folks, so thank you very much, and we'll see you on the next edition. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Menopause Morph, Your Time to Change. If you've enjoyed the program, be sure to subscribe to the next one and please leave a rating and review on iTunes to help us spread the message about thriving through the menopause. To get a free ebook, more menopausal resources, and to connect with Pauline, please visit www.menopausemorph.com.